What does somebody who doesn't know anything about something do when they're getting into their first handgun?
Imagine they turn to Google a lot.
Yeah, they probably go and search, and as we know, a lot of the options you're going to come up on Google have an agenda.
Well, and not only that, but even if they turn to a gun store, you'll run into a situation like you did with my mom, where for whatever reason, I'm obviously going to point her towards a Glock. That's just, me. But she ended up with a Ruger Security 9.
Yeah, and that's probably a case of either they have the highest amount of margin on that, Ruger's running some sort of special, or it has been sitting in the case.
And they're wildly cheap.
For 18 months, and they go, this woman has no idea what she's talking about, has no idea what she really wants. She's probably never going to use this. Perfect person to sell it to.
Yep. Well, the good thing is she did finally end up with I think it was like a Smith & Wesson Airweight.
Yeah.
But she ended up giving me the Ruger Security 9, and I'm like, what do you want me to do with the Ruger Security 9? So, yeah, I think without good information, they're going to either get sold or they're going to buy something and not know exactly what they're getting.
Yeah, so somebody starting out right away, I think it's important for them to realize what they want to do. Like we talked about revolvers versus semi-autos. So are you really going to become proficient with that gun, or are you looking for something that you can get the bare minimum, just learn how to safely use it and then use it to protect yourself? Because if that's the case, 38 caliber revolver, 327 Magnum, Ruger LCR, that's probably going to be your best way. It's easy to load and unload the gun, just operate it safely. Where people are unsafe most of the time is when they're using, what's what I'm looking for? When they're manipulating the gun. When we go to classes, what's the thing everybody says? Shooting's easy. It's teaching people to properly manipulate the gun.
Well, I think that's where this, the constant, everybody's like, what should my mom get? What should such and such get? I'm like, how much are you going to train with it? How much are you going to get familiar with it? Because if you're not going to learn the controls, learn how to change the mag, learn how to rack the slide, learn how to hold the slide open, the basic functionality of the gun. If you're not going to learn that, get something like a revolver. And the whole reason is it's easy. There's one button, maybe a hammer. A lot of them, obviously are hammerless. Pop that thing open. It's going to shoot when you go boom. Or when you pull the trigger, it's going to go boom. So it's all about how much are you actually going to put into it, because I'm not going to recommend a Glock for somebody who's not actually going to put the time in to learn how to use the thing.
And if you're willing to take like 3 to 6 months, you're going to go to the range weekly, you're going to dry fire, you're going to go take some classes, get some private training one-on-one at your local range. A Glock, a semi-auto, great option. Like, it's kind of like working out. You can build up to a certain level of proficiency and then hit a maintenance mode that is not nearly as intensive, but you do have to build that skill off the bat. It's not something that just comes to you naturally. And that was, so the guys I went shooting with this weekend, they've taken some classes. One of my buddies, he was back in high school, so this was probably 10 years ago when he took his last class, and his dad took a few more classes than he did back then. It was with some people we know. But the dad was amazed how much his skills had fallen off because he hadn't been maintaining. He'd shoot a gun every 2 years, and then he's like, I was this good when I was at the class, had the instructor in my ear, he was doing pretty good. But you let that fall off, and you got to deal with it. So what do you think? Let's say somebody does want to put in that initial work. If they're lowest common denominator, they just want to learn to safely use it and then go straight into maintenance mode. Hammerless revolver. I'm going to suggest hammerless just to keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah, especially if, like you said, if you're not going to shoot it but once every year or 2 years, revolver, no doubt. One, weight's not crazy, and two, the calibers or the ammo's easy to find. Even when it got crazy, I still think the revolver ammo was relatively, it was expensive.
No, well, what happened when it got crazy? Revolver ammo was easy to find for about a year, but then it took another 6 months to a year on the backside.
Because the production shifted everything to 9mm and popular calibers, and that got neglected. Once that got scooped up, they had to catch up.
It took longer,
But it's not as in high demand as the regular 9mm and the 45 and 223 and all that stuff. But yeah, I think revolver's the way to go if you're just not going to really shoot it. Now, if you're going to get it out a couple times a year and you are interested in it, and it's not just a tool that it's like a rake.
So an
I'm
argument,
not gonna use it every week.
Yeah, an argument a lot of people make is they go to the range, they shoot something. They're a lot easier to shoot. They're more accurate than they are with a revolver. Now, you know me, I can be pretty darn accurate with a revolver, but I've learned to shoot revolvers because it is a different skill. I don't think it really matters as much as people say it does with the accuracy, because unless you really have that training, what are the chances you're going to be able to hold that level of accuracy you can at the range with a semi-auto in a true stressful situation? You got to realize your distance where you're going to be proficient with that gun is pretty short, whether it's a semi-auto or a revolver.
No doubt. I mean, you might know better than me, what's the statistic?
It's like 3 yards, 3 seconds, 3 rounds.
Like the statistic for how far most self-defense shootings are. And it isn't like
they're within 7 yards.
Yeah, 7 yards. That's what it is.
And you look at torso size, and you and I have both seen people in training miss.
Yeah. I've seen some wild stuff in
Yeah.
classes.